Welcome back. I am Sarah Fulton, back with you again. I've got Pastor Jared with me. He agreed to stop by and talk with us about the spiritual health assessment. You guys should have these. They were in your box. You guys should have them right in front of you if you can right now. And we're going to just take a minute and walk you through what this is, why it's important, and why we're really excited about using this in our group setting.
Yeah, Sarah, I loved, when you brought this to me and said, hey, what do you think if we do an assessment? I absolutely love this. Things like this have been so helpful for me in my own walk with Christ, and I know so many others, just because it kind of gives you something to hang your thoughts on and take a moment to reflect. I know spiritual life can kind of get caught up in the midst of everything else. So just love this tool for us. What kind of put it on your mind or your heart to want to bring this to the group?
Yeah, actually, Pastor Doug's the one who came up with the idea initially. He said, I think we need some kind of spiritual health assessment. And as I sat down and looked at what would actually be helpful for me personally, I can tend to have this vague sense, hey, there's all these areas that I want to grow in. I'm not making it here. I'm not making it there. You can kind of get just bogged down with that and not end up with any kind of momentum or forward, just discouragement, what I mean? And so having something that I can sit down and make it a little bit more objective to say, yep, these are areas that I feel good about. These are areas where I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. Maybe I'm not all the way there. I know God, every area of our life, God's going to keep developing us. He's going to keep working with us. But it's okay to say, right now, I'm responding to what He has said to me. I'm doing well in this area, and I feel good about where I am. That's fantastic.
Right. No, it's so good. That's so good. I mean, the cool thing is this is a tool for us. This isn't a tool that God uses on us.
Right.
Exactly. So it really is one of those things, like you said, this is if you want to grow, this is a great place to actually take a second and pause there and see where we're actually at and what we can do to move forward.
Yeah, that's great. So what you guys are going to do, you're actually going to go through this in your time in your groups today after this video is done. You're going to take a few minutes to think through these questions, fill it in, and then we're going to give you some instructions about how to proceed from there. What we wanted to do with Pastor Jerry here today is to go through this a little bit step by step and talk about what it is. We're actually going to share some of my own personal answers and why I answered the way that I did to help just get your brains moving, get you thinking about this. So
that's awesome. Well, we'll kick it off. So I have your assessment that you did here. Personal development's on the first page. Engaging with the Bible, you've got it as a 3, so kind of right in between the 2 points there. Why did you mark a 3?
You know what? Engaging with the Bible, one end of it was I don't feel very comfortable with the Bible. I don't know how to interact with it. I don't feel like I'm down there. I feel like I know how to interact with the Bible. The reason I put it as a 3 is because right now in this phase of my life, this is an area I feel like I'm not where I need to be. This is one that, life gets really busy, 5 kids and kids waking up at night. It's just way too easy for...
Hold on, life's busy with 5 kids?
Just a little bit.
Okay, just wanted to check.
You're figuring out that life is busy with 2 right now.
Right.
And I know how much lately I've pushed off that, my morning connect time or making time to actually be just diving into the scriptures. And so while I don't feel like this is I'm failing in this area, this for me is a 3 because this is an area I want to move forward. This is something that I can see right in front of me. Yep, God is calling me to something more than where I am right now, and I want to focus in this area.
Good. Yeah. So on relational development, you have sharing Christ marked as a 4. So kind of actively developing some relationships with people who don't know Jesus, and you're open about your faith journey with them. What does that look like? What brought you to a 4 there?
Yeah, I feel like I've got a couple people in my life right now who are either in my home on a regular basis or, I'm connecting with regularly, that God's just given me a real grace to be able to be open about what God's doing in my life and to be asking some real powerful questions. Hey, where is your walk with Jesus? Are you spending time with Him? Where are you in the getting to know Him process? And so this is one where I feel like it's at a 4. I'm open to God moving me forward in that area or bringing other people along or nudging me. But I feel like a 4 for me meant I feel pretty good about where I'm at in that area.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've got 5s for everything else here, so I'm kidding. On identity and gifts development. So this is really kind of just feeling, where you're at. I want to look at walking in the supernatural. I mean, this is something, especially in a charismatic church like Elam Gospel, can be very, very nebulous when we talk about that. You've kind of got it right in the center. What's going to move the needle, or where do you feel like God's bringing you in that particular one?
Yeah. And I think on this one, the putting it in the middle isn't so much a reflection for me of, objectively looking at where I'm at. I feel like I am interacting with Holy Spirit on a regular basis and hearing his voice, but it's more the hunger that I have to go so much further in this area.
That's
just
a great point.
A real sense of, wow, there's a lot more available than what I'm currently walking in. So that's why I put that at a 3. It's not necessarily that it's in a negative place. It's just the awareness of, God, I have a hunger for so much more in this particular area.
Yeah, and a 4 to 5 doesn't feel like that's emphasizing enough of where you really feel like God's taking you.
And like we've said, this tool is for you. This is not something you're handing in and somehow we're assessing you, based on your answers. This is for you to look at, how do I feel in this area? How does this area, my sense of where I am in this area right now?
No, it's so good. You can only focus on so much.
There's no comparison here.
Right.
There's no,
Right. And if there is, just give yourself 5s. And
then you can just feel good and walk forward.
Purpose development and discipleship.
Yeah.
You've got dreams at a 4. So that's kind of another higher one. You've got goals and discipleship a little bit lower. Tell me, I guess, maybe between dreams and goals, why the parity there?
Yeah, that was actually interesting for me to realize. I put dreams up at a 4 because I felt like I really have got a sense of where God's taking me and just the dreams that he has for my life. Not that those are, specifically clear necessarily or have all the details figured out, is I guess what I'm saying. But I do have just a sense that God's got some amazing dreams for my life and that he's showing me some pictures of what that looks like. Now, when it comes to goals and knowing, okay, what does it look like to get from here to that dream? How are the ways that I'm specifically moving forward? There, I'm like, I'm not doing a great job on that. I don't feel like I've got the goals in place to back up what the dreams are. So that's kind of the difference between those two areas and the two different ways that you can assess it. That first one is to be able to dream with God and have the freedom to be able to do that. And then the goals are the walking forward process.
That's awesome.
For getting
That's
there.
so good.
I did want to say really quickly, there are 2 discipleship ones at the bottom. That's not a typo. It's not a misprint. Just it's an awareness that there are it's two-way street. Discipleship is, and it's one thing to have people in your life that you're pouring into and you've got something to be giving them, but then you also need people in your life that are pouring into you or that you have a draw on to learn from. So looking at that from both angles.
So good. Got a little section for thoughts at the end.
Yeah.
Of course, we want to do some good time reflecting, not just circling the numbers. So
that's right.
Yeah, this is great.
So a couple things to do in this thought section. After you've gone through, so for me, I had a few areas that were 3s, a few areas were 2s. Didn't necessarily feel like I was a 1. That just might be my tendency to stay in the middle on some of this. So my 2s are actually 1s, it's the whole small thing. So the areas that I had a 2 or a 3, the next step is to take a look at those and say, okay, of these areas that I don't feel like are in a great place, which of these do I feel like there's some energy behind the idea of moving forward? That I feel like Holy Spirit's actually saying, yeah, that's an area that it's time for right now. You probably don't want that at this stage to be more than 1, maybe 2 things. Generally, if you can focus on one thing, your effectiveness, your ability to really go after something increases exponentially when you go after one thing at a time. So if there's one of these areas that even as you're going through the assessment, you go, wow, yeah, that is an area that I'm ready to change, to go after. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take that thought section at the end, write that section, whatever that question, down as your area that you want to focus on. And then our suggestion is in your group that you guys pair up 2, maybe 3 people, and you actually share with the other person, hey, this is the area that I feel like I want to go after.
That's great.
And then I want to give you guys a couple really quick coaching tools to use for each other, because our responsibility in that connection is not to say, hey, let me tell you how to go after that area. Even if you could, there's a process that person is walking through of listening to the Holy Spirit and figuring out where they're at, that you can encourage and support by asking some powerful questions and really listening. Because so often we know what God's saying to us. We know what it is that he's asking us to do. And we need somebody to listen to us and to ask us questions to kind of draw that out. Do you have any suggestions on that?
No, I love what you said. I mean, this isn't the time, the feedback's not the time to recommend a book. You know, it's not the time to tell a person what to do. Because the step that they choose is going to be more powerful than the step that you think they need.
So good. Yeah.
I think it's a great time just to kind of find how the Spirit's moving each one of us. If it's a 2 to a 3, we don't have to pull the person to a 5.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. So in your leader guide, you've got some questions that you guys can use for each other. But it's the kind of thing like, what's Holy Spirit saying to you? What do you feel like he's saying to your heart? What would a win in this area look like for you? What would it mean to be a 5 in this area? And then what are the steps to get from here to there? And allow that person to answer that for themselves. And then you have the awesome place of being able to encourage and support them over these next few weeks. How is it going in that area? Have you been able to take any steps forward? Not as like the police coming along and you know, have you done what you said you were going to do? But when you know somebody cares, you know somebody's going to be asking you about it, it's such a motivator. It's such an encourager.
It's so good. One of the things that really helps me in thinking of spiritual growth is this concept, the difference between seeds and switches. You know, like we're, as Americans especially, we just want to turn the light on and turn the light off, turn the TV on, turn it off. And sometimes we look at where we're at, and this can be a little bit of a daunting task, and you think, okay, look, what do I got to do to flip the switch? And then you find yourself back in your small group the next week, and you realize, I forgot to flip the switch. And then you're kind of stuck there in the embarrassing point. And so I just, you know, want to encourage you wherever you're at right now is that this isn't about switches to flip. It's about the seeds that God's sowing. And as you start developing some of those actionable steps with the person that's in your small group, just allow that to be a seed that's not like a new law you're kind of having to bear, but it's something that you're saying, God, this is how I want to participate. And over the next few weeks, you might just see incremental growth, or you might see explosive growth. Either way is growth, and that's really great.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what we're after. We're after growing together. We're after sharing and noticing the growth in each other and saying, I see this in you. I see that God is doing this in you, and encouraging and supporting that.
That's so good.
So if you guys can just take time right now, set some quiet, put on quiet music, whatever helps you guys to be able to focus in and take time to really invite Holy Spirit into this process, to speak to your heart, to highlight answers, and to encourage you that he's doing something really, really good in each and every one of you.